Hello, everyone. Just out here at my lunchtime, doing my lunch. Love these shakes and my Diet Coke. Some people do coffee. I do Diet Coke. So wanted to talk about some things that through my podcast have brought up some of things I want to talk about in therapy with my therapist. We're ending, we took a break last week, so we are finishing up this week. I do therapy on Thursday, Friday during my lunchtime. And we had really talked about the trauma with my grandmother and just all the hurtful things she said all through my life, having me followed, having me taken out of the will, kicking me out of my house. The things that she was upset at me for doing, she has done just as bad and worse. I've never committed fraud. So, yeah, that. I remember one time when my grandpa was still alive, him and a bunch of the old men would go into Hardee's every morning and have coffee. And it was after my grandmother and I's blow up. And I said, well, I know she's talking about me. And one of my grandpa's friends said something about, well, what do you think she's saying? And I said, well, I don't really care. But I mean, I am bad with money. And he goes, that's all I've ever really heard about you. And I said, well, at least it's true. So if it's true and you want to say it about me, that's fine. But yeah, so that is what is going on with therapy. But I've been listening to my podcast again. Shout out to Mel Robbins. Haven't listened to the Love Doc for a while. I've really been intrigued by Mel Robbins, but I love both of them. Even Bunny XO has a ton of helpful things. They talk about health, mental health, all kinds of stuff. So I've learned a lot there. One thing I learned from the Bunny podcast was women over 50 doing hormone replacements. It not only helps some of the most common things, but it can help with skin. And so I have a lot of loose skin from losing 143 pounds. I knew that was going to be a given. I do want to have surgery next year to try to have that removed. So we'll see how that goes. But really want to give my body time to adjust to this weight loss and kind of I got about 16 more pounds to go to be to my goal, and then be there for a while and see how my body shifts and skin and change. But, I'm 52. I've lost 143 pounds. After having children starting at 17, I've been overweight my entire adult life. So until recently, so that's definitely going to play a role. Age, weight, all that good stuff. But moving on, let's get past that. I want to talk about closure and being either being the cheater, being cheated on, being betrayed. Those are things that I've had all done to me, and I have done too, I guess. So I definitely betrayed my grandmother. I've betrayed friends, family, my husband. And then I have been betrayed by my family, my own blood, my uncle and my grandma and many other family members. So I just wanted to talk about that. One thing that I always thought that I needed was closure from my ex, closure for things. And I got so fixated on that I think that is some of why that emotional relationship went on for so long. Even though it was sometimes one-sided, when it wasn't, I would grab that and, like a sponge, just absorb all of that attention. And then I was like, oh, well, I need closure and I need this and I need that. We don't always have to have closure. So, like with my ex, where that was never going to happen, even when we were talking and things were going great, anytime I would say, I want to come visit or I want to come out there, the brakes would go on. So that should have been my first sign. So we need to stop chasing people. When they do that, that is your sign. You're not, if somebody wants to see you and wants to be with you or wants to be a friend with you or have you in their life in any aspect, they will do what needs to be done to make that happen. So when that is constantly being, put a break on it. And I know like now we have so many people who have, it's very common to start a relationship online in this day and age. So if somebody's not making that effort, wake up call. But closure isn't something we always get. So with him, I'll never get that closure. But it did help when I went to Utah. It gave me a sense of closure to see that so many people that I had met and still in my mind had in that time frame didn't live there any longer. There were a few people I had reached out to that were friends that didn't make the effort to see me. And some of them were legitimate, good reasons. And some were just, so you'll be here? Okay. Okay, wake up call. So that gave me closure. It was painful, but it gave me closure. And then just making new memories. I've talked about this a lot, but now when I think of Utah, I don't think about my ex. I don't think about that time frame. There are times I do think about it and reminisce. He will always have a special place in my heart. I can't help that. He was my first love. We had a very special relationship. And even though he gaslit me and probably used me when he was in his valleys, he helped me through some of my valleys. But I am building my marriage stronger. And I see that my husband is the one who loves me now, has my best interest in part. So I guess all that combined was my closure. So we just have to find the way that closure will work for us. And it's not always the way you picture it. It's not always that conversation with someone. It's not going to be saying goodbye or a hug or this or that always. So find that way that you can get closure, whether it write a letter and you burn it, but then there are times that you need to talk to people and work through whatever happened. And that's if you're going to have them still in your life. So it's not really closure. It's working through a trauma or a problem or a situation. So, for example, my husband and I have had a lot of conversations because for 8 years I was having a emotional relationship with someone that I should not have been. So, it's very important that you work through those with the people that you're going to keep in your life and that you want to keep there. And you want, they either confront you, you confront them, you talk back and forth, like, this is how this made me feel. Not you did this and you did that, because then that puts people in defense mode. And nobody wants to be told all these bad things that we did, these horrible things. But they do need to be addressed, but let's say, like, this is how it made me feel. Because a lot of how I've made my husband feel, some of it is obvious pain. It was never my intention, ever, to hurt that man. And even when I thought I wanted a divorce, I never wanted to hurt him. But it did. And the ways that I even knew or thought it would hurt him, there are other ways that hurt him too. So we've got to work through that. We've got to process that. We've got to deal with that. And thankfully, he doesn't throw that in my face every day. But then let's take someone like my grandmother, who I have reached out to, and I have not necessarily tried to make an amends, but just tried to talk to her. Be like, hey, I'm sorry. I never should have done that. I betrayed you. I betrayed your trust. But can I explain the why? And it doesn't make it right. I'm still in the wrong. But I just want you to understand that's never going to happen. She's never going to understand. She's never going to hear it. She has told multiple people how horrible I am, how betrayed I was with the betrayal between us. She forgets her side of the story, her part in the story, and she did no wrong in her eyes. That right there tells me we are never going to be able to be in each other's life again in a positive way. Recently, she found out because I know who shared the screenshot of a message that I sent. And it's okay. Karma sucks. God will get you, whatever. I don't know. What comes around goes around. But she freaked out because I was digging into the will and the trust. And my thought process on that is, if you've done no wrong, you have nothing to worry about. Nothing. When I feel confident in that I've done nothing wrong, I don't worry about it. But she took it upon herself to bombard one of my children's phones with Instagram, Snapchat, text messages, phone calls, and then when they wouldn't answer, it got more and more aggressive. Okay, first of all, my grown child is not looking into your will or your trust or the fraud that you committed to change it. I was. But I'm not the only one. And I have decided that I know what you did. I'm very well aware of what you and my uncle did. But I am going to be more successful with this book. I am going to be more successful with my platform and helping other people and doing good with my trauma and my life. I have a purpose. And I'm going to end up with more money than even you. I have faith in God. And if God's will that I help people through trauma, I'm going to be successful. And if not, I have a full-time job I love. I make good money. My husband's making good money. But my hope is that my book and my platform will help other people heal, work through their traumas so that they're not living 52 years of their life with that shit seeping through and tainting their present day happiness. That they can do it way before I did. Find the complete and true joy in life. And yeah, we're still going to have bad days. We're going to have moments, but not be able to let every single thing emotionally affect them and cripple them and rely on so much that is beyond their control for their happiness. I want my book and my platform to be a success, to benefit me, my children, but I also want to help other people. I have always, always wanted to help other people. The money that my grandmother and my uncle have, it may help my uncle's children to an extent, but I know he isn't sharing with them as much either as he could. Some of them are struggling. But it is going to help complete strangers, people I haven't even met yet. That's what I want to do. My husband always says when we're out and about, he was like, I don't know what it is. You have a way with people. We can be sitting here at a restaurant, nobody we know, just the two of us, and people at the other table, or the waitress, or the manager will come out and start spilling their heart out to you. I have compassion for people. I've been told many times that people can talk to me without judgment. That's what I want my life to be about, is helping people, and that's my purpose. I am going to heal from my trauma, and that's going to be worked through, and then I am going to pack it away for real this time and put it away. I will use that trauma and that knowledge to help others and to never judge or to show compassion to them while they're healing. There are people who have been through far worse than me. So I don't want people locked in their past and their traumas and their pain. And I pray every day, Lord, if this is what you want me to be doing in my life, help me find the tools and the way to be successful so that I can not only heal and be the best version of me, but that I can help others heal. You're going to hear me say this a lot. There are people that have a light on, that are further along in the path than me, that are working through or have worked through their traumas and their pains, and they're healed. And that's who I'm following. And then I'm going to shine my light for those behind me in the path so that they can follow and find their journey. Some notes I made. We have to forgive. And it's so hard. Like with certain people, like my grandmother,